Welcome to Kiki's Chat Show. It's 9 o'clock, bang on. And today is an exciting chat. I did have a few more people who were coming on to join me with my guest here, but at the last minute, they chickened out. One day, I will get brave, bold Ghanaian women coming onto this show and telling us their views, because at this point, it is always very difficult. They are very keen. They want to talk. Oh, it's going to be exciting. Oh, I like this topic. They don't come on. And then, as you know, I'm a Kasapole and I can speak for England and Ghana join, so no problem. But my guest today is Bishop Emily Buabasah. She's a senior associate pastor of Christ Foundation Family Church in Gaithersburg, Maryland. She's a marriage counselor, a conference speaker, TV and radio resource person, and she's married to Cardinal Leslie Tex Buabasah with 5 children and 7 grandchildren. Is it still 7 or 8 now?
7.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Candy. I'm so honored to be here tonight.
I am the one who's honored to have you on my show. I'm so happy you're here, because I put out the question to people to come on, and Emily graciously offered to come on, for which I'm very grateful. Now, the discussion and question is, did our grandmothers get it right? Our grandparents in their marriages? How come they lived all through their marriages? How come by the time we were recognizing our grandparents, they were calm and cool and happy and everything was, and yet our marriages in our modern times is fraught, and yet we have microwaves, we have ovens. We don't actually live with our parents. We are doing our things solo. And somehow our marriages are fraught. Is it that we don't have patience, or is it that our grandparents lied? So that is the topic for today. Now, Emily, Bishop.
Please feel free and call me Emily so we can. Bishop, no.
No, I respect your position, and I am very proud of you.
I know.
And very proud of your achievement and everything. I should say, Bishop, so that you understand how I feel about your position. Anyway, the question to you, my first question, which should be the last question, but did our grandparents lie?
I wouldn't say they lied. They lived by what they believed. Know, whether we think that they did right or wrong it all depends on the way you want to see things. But I don't think that in a lot of cases, I don't think that they lied. They just made a decision to stick with what they have, which is not what we have today. Back in the day, of course, most marriages were influenced by the cultures, the culture of the day. We still have culture, but we live in a generation that culture does not play that much of an important role as it did in the past. And so the way marriage was viewed in the past is different from the way it is viewed today. So you cannot say they lied. They lived by what was going on in their time.
But were our grandmothers happy though?
Happy.
Yes. Happy in the marriage.
Yes, happy is it's how do I say? when you talk about happy, it also depends on what you mean by happy, because some, just the satisfaction of being married made them okay. You know, I know where you're coming from when you say happy. That means that did they enjoy the marriage? Were they, were they satisfied, fulfilled by their marriages?
Yes.
I think because of the mindset they had. And typically back in the day, the mindset was that when you got married, the man looked at it as an acquisition of, start to say, property. Something is acquired. And the women were also groomed to understand that, when you go to your husband's house, you need to be humble and just submit to whatever is going on. And so we know that quite a number of them experienced abuse of different kinds, and a whole lot of them experienced infidelity and betrayal in different forms, but they just decided to stick with it. And more so, you would hear them say, for the sake of the children, I'll stay in here, despite abuse they may be experiencing or the betrayal they may be experiencing. And some betrayal was serious because the men could bring other women into the house, disrespecting their wives, But the mindset of that time is different from today.
I see. So basically, the mindset.
Yeah.
If you are married to a man, he didn't respect you. He had acquired you because of bride price and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so he then could do whatever he wanted. They suffered abuse, but they were patient. They were tolerant. Some of them were determined to get their children. I think it's more of education.
Yes, to a large extent also, illiteracy played a big part in it. And you would find out that there were cases where, as a result of the abuse, the woman may try to go back to her family, and they'll send her right back, just go and put up with it, kind of thing, and it was like, if you are abused, they didn't consider it something for you to leave the marriage for,
Yeah.
And some live with the expectation that it goes with the territory, which was just so. Like I said, a lot of it was the culture, the thinking of that time. And sad to say, in our generation, of course, the kind of patience they used to have, our generation doesn't have that kind of patience. And maybe, like you're saying, education wise, many women are educated and they can take care of themselves. And so it's just like, well, you can't come and abuse me and waste my time. And the woman can just park and walk out. Even at the protest of her family, she just decides, no, I can't deal with this anymore. Many stayed in their marriages because of the children and what they felt would how it would affect the children, but not this time. In this generation, people are willing to walk away with. I mean, they are still the old school type of people, but the generation is completely different.
One of the things that I wonder about is whether, society pushes you. This is our Ghanaian and African, Nigerian, West Africa, basically, which is, what I know. In the West African, in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Senegal, and all of that, you get to a certain point, a certain age, and you are expected to marry.
Yes.
And, uh, yes, you are taught the rudiments of marriage. You are taught how not to speak, not to upset your husband, how to cook, and all of that. But I I kind of worry that they don't tell us more than beyond the servitude. Do
Yes,
you
that's
see what I mean? We are
yeah,
not.
yes, that's true. That's true because um up till quite recently,
Mhm.
marriage was regarded as the height of achievement
For women, not
for
men.
women. Yes,
Mhm.
for the height of achievement for women. And
Yes.
even up till today, in some instances, um, even for both men and women, they consider a married person more responsible
Yeah.
than a single person.
Mhm.
So all these kinds of mindsets, you know, uh, affect the institution of marriage.
Yes.
You know, it's like you've grown, and so pressure is being put on you by family. When are you going to get married? By friends. When are you going to get married? And then people look at you when you are single as if you've missed it, you know. And okay, back in the day, women were not pushed to pursue pursue, because the thought was that the woman's place is in the kitchen,
Yeah.
you know. The woman's place is to take care of the home. So why plenty school?
Mhm.
We don't have that today, you know. Everybody's striving to reach certain heights. And
Yeah.
so women are even postponing marriage to later years in their lives, or they don't even care anymore, you know, which sometimes bothers our parents because they think that, you know, it brings honor to the family when their child gets married and they get to invite their friends. So you see that theme in movies, you know, our African movies and these kinds of things that, you know, and like I'm saying, um, education played a part, culture played a part, and women just seeing themselves. Interestingly, I read about an Ewe. I read something on Ewe history
Mhm.
and found out that the thinking in the Ewe culture
Mhm.
about marriage was that the woman was there to serve her husband,
Mhm.
and when the woman cooks food, she's
Mhm.
supposed to eat hers in the kitchen and serve the man, you know, serve the man and eat hers in the kitchen. If they
Yeah.
have children, male and female, the male son will sit at table with his dad, but
Yeah.
the female child will sit in the kitchen with the mother to eat. And um, and so that kind of thinking will affect the way the marriage is, because um, I always give this typical example that there's a painting or a portrait that you see a man and his wife go to the farm. The wife has her child behind her back. They go and do whatever they have to do on the farm. And when they are coming back, the woman may be carrying the load of whatever they've harvested, her baby on her back, while the man is just walking, swinging his cutlass, you know. And they get home, the woman is supposed to go and get water ready for the man to bath, get his food ready. You know, it's that kind of mindset that drove the way grandmothers handled their marriages. They saw themselves more in the role of servitude. I'm there to serve the man. I'm there to make his life comfortable.
Yeah.
And so some have grown with that selfishness, that they do not look out for the needs of the woman. They just think that she's there to meet my needs, but she doesn't have any needs. You know, even if she does, I don't see it as my responsibility. And so you see that the grooming of the girl child was leaning more towards, you know, how to go and serve, how to go and be a good wife. And the males did not have a training of how to go and be a good husband.
Good husband, no.
You know, that was not part of the deal. So you can understand what was happening back then, that, you know, the woman felt like she's honored or privileged to have, you know, found a man to get married to. And so she puts up with, you know, whatever nonsense comes in. Like I said, she may go and report something home and they just say, you, it's okay, just go and, you know,
go back.
Just go and put up with it, or just go back, you know. And some were serious, where they are being beaten by their husbands. They have all the bruises and they have all the evidence to show that they are being maltreated. But the thing is, go back, just go back and, you know, watch the way you talk, you know. And then also there was the attitude of, when the men are talking, you, the woman, just shut up and put up with, you know, because the man is the wise one in the family.
The head of the family.
Yes. I mean, the head of the family, yes, because that is scriptural. But I think that we inject the cultural thing into what God is teaching from his word. Because I understand when Jesus came that he said, he who wants to be the head, the leader, must be the servant. He teaches servant leadership, which is not what we talk about when we talk about the headship. The headship in that, because Jesus said, the people of the world who are leaders boss it over the people. And that is the concept that many people work with, that I'm the boss in this house, you know. But Jesus said, you lead by example. You've got to have a servant leader attitude. It doesn't mean give up your rights as the head, but you must lead by example, and your life must reflect the fact that you care about whoever. The Ephesians, when we discuss marriage, which is a typical thing, when you go to weddings, they will read, wives, submit to your husband. But when you go down the scripture, it says that a man must love his wife just as he loves himself, you know, just as you love yourself. And if you love yourself, you treat somebody the way you want to be loved, the way you want to be taken care of.
You know, one of the things which there are a few comments in the comment section, and it says women's economic independence and gender equality has largely also contributed to the breakdown in unhappy marriages. And it is true. I mean, in most homes, you need two incomes to live a nice, comfortable way, to have two cars, to go to work, to do all these nice things that people normally do. However, the man, still, there are some men who want to control every penny that you have, some men want you to work and bring in the money. Whereas in our grandmother's day, women were looking after and if she sold something or she did some gardening and sold tomatoes, or the man didn't even look there. He didn't care. So as the woman is advancing in her life and in society, and with education, with new ideas, with human rights, the rights of a woman, say, still there are some factions. Marriage is still really looked at differently, especially in our homestead, in Africa. It's still a little bit different. Over here, you can get your way. People say that when you are abroad in the Western world, UK, America, etc., marriages work better because there's a bit of understanding, and she works, you work, you're bringing money together, but still everybody's doing something, and the minute you get back to Nigeria, Ghana, wherever, the man wants to go back to that traditional setting. He wants to have affairs, he wants to have a side chick. He begins to feel that he has more rights than the woman, and the woman is then being made to sit back, shut up, put up.
Yes. Because, like I said, it's a cultural thing. And so you find out that even in the diaspora, which is in the UK, in Europe, in America, a lot of African marriages are under threat because if the man does not change his cultural thinking, then he's going to feel like, oh, my wife is working, and so now she's come on top, because she has a certain amount of independence. And so she can do things on her own. So he loses some control, And so I've heard where maybe men out here decide to go get a wife from Africa and head to this because the women here are too proud, they are too this. And then when they bring the women, they get advice from friends who tell them, do not allow your wife to work. If you allow her to work,
she'll become like the Western woman.
To sit on top of your head.
Yes.
And so you see that there is a selfishness of wanting control. There's a beauty in that which God has created. And if you understand it, you understand that the woman was not taken from under your feet or on top of your head, but was taken from your side, not to be a competitor, but for you to be complementary one to another. So
partnership.
Yes. So when you understand that, you don't treat your wife as if it's an acquired property that you because you pay the dowry, then it means that whatever you want, whatever you can do whatever you want with your wife. Then you are not a man of understanding. And so you find out that sometimes in this Western world too, it goes overboard because, of course, they try to support the women in a lot of ways. And so you find out that there are women who eventually may throw their husband's house, take over the house and whatnot. It's all advancement in society and the need for some of our cultural ways to be adjusted or to be thought through. Some think is sacrosanct and it's got to be followed to the T. But if you and your wife go out to work and you expect that when you get home, your wife should do the cooking, that's okay. But at least you can give a helping hand by setting up the table or by taking care of certain things to relieve your wife, of some of those heavy duties. But
Yes.
there are those who just want to sit, cross their feet, watch the news, read the newspaper, and let the wife do everything. Then when it gets to the night and the wife says she's tired, he does not understand, because he thinks that, you must give him the sex when he wants it, whether you are tired or not. But if you are a thoughtful person, you help, and then also, as we are told in the book of Ephesians, wives, respect your husband. So maybe you did the washing and he's ironing, okay? And then it becomes like you want to impose it on him. There's a loving way. I have a friend who says good food badly presented becomes offensive. So you did the food nicely and then just say, there's your food, and it's funny how in our Western world, back home, you have to set the table, do everything nice, nice, nice. But abroad, it's like you finish cooking the food, it's there in the kitchen. Maybe we both came out, we both came back from work, and you're expecting the man, in way of helping to go dish out his food. But there are some men who still insist, lay the table, put out the napkin, do this, do that, still wanting
the service his mother gave him.
Yes, the service. And um, education has pushed people very far where if the man is taking good care of me, I don't mind, doing what I have to do.
Exactly.
You get it. But where I'm experiencing abuse and being looked down on and all of that, it becomes difficult, frankly. It becomes difficult to do that. And where your input is not appreciated, it becomes difficult. And now it's more easy for people to just walk out of marriage.
It is. It is because if both of you, of course, even up till now, men, they earn a little bit more. They have more advantages. Women, especially during your childbearing ages, you are so busy with children. Sometimes you have to take them to the clinic. You have to do this. So women's jobs are a little bit more flexible in such a way that they do not earn as much as, pound for pound as a man does. And the man is using his earning power and the fact that maybe he's put more into the house, he's put more here, there, everywhere. I'm talking about mortgage or bills, or then he thinks he can control you. There are some men who every little thing he complains about the women. Women have a very low threshold for nonsense these days. So that is also, and then of course in the Western world where the government and people will help you to leave the man, depending on where you are on the food chain, because the lower you are on the food chain, the more they will help you, blah 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 blah. So then the men are continually unhappy, they are denigrating, they complain about the women, and there is this undercurrent of a war between men and women,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is It's very unfortunate. But how do we deal with that? Because to be in a marriage, to be in a partnership with somebody where my tribe, I'm a Krobo chick. Now, in my tribe, they teach you certain things, but you are also reminded as a woman that you have a family. We don't allow, they teach you, we have depot where they teach you how to cook, how to look after children, how to bath a baby's head in case you travel. A lot of teachings go on, but we are always reminded that you come from a family. If you go and it's not good, come back. We don't do that thing where, try, he's in Ghanaian, generally in most of the tribes in Ghana, they say he has elevated you. If you married, means the man
who has ordered you.
Yes, he he has elevated you, and you are now a married woman, etc. So I think empowering the girl child is something which is very important. Empowering the girl child, and then for the girl to see that, why are you married if there is no playing, if there's no happiness, if there's no storytelling in the evening before you go to bed, etc., etc. There are some people who that is what they look for. This is before. So in our grandmother's time, there was all of that, even though the man had many wives. But if we are in a situation where you are unhappy, but you are married, and you will shame your family if you leave this man, and then you are worried about the children. No, we need to find a balance. Our culture needs to change.
Yeah, so as you're rightly saying, when you travel abroad and you live in the Western world, we try to do things in a way to help each other and all of that. But if such a couple went back home and maybe his family comes in and maybe find him cooking per se, then they'll say, oh, this woman has made their son to be a fool.
Yes.
See how he's busy cooking while she's, but, each family or each marriage must be worked out by those in the marriage to the best of what they in their mind. But culture. I know of a man who cooks very well. His wife knows how to cook, but he cooks very well and he enjoys cooking. He wakes up early and he does prepare the meals before. And that's their life. They are happy with that life. But somebody will come from outside and think, oh, this guy has been reduced by his wife. And we need to change and stop those things, because you make your marriage what you want it to be. And if it doesn't follow all of the cultural norms, I mean, it's okay. But I mean, I find your culture, the Kroboche culture, interesting, because the typical culture is that go back to your husband. And sometimes you may even find people will come and beg. And I knew of a young lady, the husband threw her out several times and threw her clothes out on the street several times. And he will misbehave. She'll go to her parents' place and then he'll come and beg, and then they'll convince her to go back. And then he'll do that again and again, until she got fed up, because she contributed to buying the house. But because he contributed the larger amount, felt it was his house, and therefore he could do whatever he wanted to do, throw her out. And then you come all sorry. I don't know what came over me. I love you. And that's the abuser syndrome,
Yeah,
where they think you must put up with all of the nonsense, and they will get backing sometimes even from your own family members who
I
are
know.
just go back, and you don't know what life is when you are single and all of that. And so it all has to do with our cultures, some aspects of our cultures that we need to change. And then I think that, as the Bible will tell us, in the last days people will be covenant breakers, betrayers, selfish, so you are beginning to find that out, that um even though some ladies are helping in the house, doing all that they need to do, the men still go out and take a side chick and will be spending all their money, and you cannot complain. And then when there's a need in the house and you're asking for money, it's like, you guys are always make do with what you have. And meanwhile, he's spending large sums of money on a side chick,
Outside, yes.
which is so unfortunate, because it means that you do not respect your wife, and can flaunt these things in her face. And our grandmothers will put up with that. But I think we live in a generation where, because of more education, more enlightenment, people will just not put up. I mean, some people still do anyway,
Yeah.
that.
When I was researching this, I was reading, and somebody, one of my schoolmates, sent me a message saying, well, he thinks that our culture is totally broken down anyway, especially outside, because we used to have arranged marriages.
Mhm.
We used to, if you brought a man, if you didn't have an arranged marriage, but you introduced a man to your family saying, this is the man you want to marry, they would go and do a search, find out what his grandfather was like, or what his great grandfather was like, and all of that. Whether there is a fight, whether there's been a fight with your side of the family, etc., etc., just to be sure that this marriage that you're going into is going to work well.
Mm.
He also went on to say that, and in India and places like that, their arranged marriages work better than us, because we have thrown away our culture, and we just meet people at work or in town, or you go to church, and then this man is prayerful, you marry him, and then he comes and he beats you up, and then blah 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 blah.
I mean,
Now,
that is true to an extent, but if we want to compare to arranged marriages, for example, in India, I don't know, but I don't hear of Indian men beating up their wives. You get it. What I watch today, I see it working because of a certain dynamic between the man and the woman they've given to him, and all of that, which in our case, like I said, in the African context, because of course some of these cultures also give dowries, because of the dowry, and you're realizing that these days it's ridiculous. The dowries are, I mean, it used to just be simple, but these days it's almost like you are buying a house. And
yeah,
so when the man has put in all of this money, to get you into his house, any small show of thing, he thinks that, hey, do you know how much I paid to get you? You know,
yeah,
and so, yes, arranged marriages do work in some cases, and I think the basic thing, like he was saying, is the fact that a search is always done to look at the background of the person, which we don't do today.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of cases, we just accept what is coming, you know. But
Yeah.
that really helped because it gave you a little background history of the family you are going into.
Yeah.
I remember very well. I was going out with somebody in my young young days, and my mother said to me, "That family is not good. That family is not good," because they took these things seriously,
Mm,
and
mm.
if there are issues with the family, they would discuss them. These days, it's like, oh, I found somebody, we are engaged, we are getting married, and very little investigation is done. Now, if
Mhm.
a young man is raised in a home where
Mhm.
he saw his father beating his mother, that young man may grow with the mindset that that is normal.
Yes.
That is a normal thing to do, and abuse his wife. Or a wife grows up in a home where she saw her mother insulting the father all the time. There were blows and fights in the house, and
Mm.
so she also doesn't know how to handle her mouth and runs the mouth, and so where you are coming from, and medically, they would ask you, they want to know a bit of your family history.
Yeah.
Why don't we investigate family history anymore? Because that will help the doctor to try and trace and diagnose and see in what direction to prescribe for you.
Yeah. I have a question for you, actually. The question is, if a man insists his wife shouldn't work and be a housewife and look after the children, is he responsible for her financial upkeep?
But of course, I mean, if you are telling her not to work
Mm-hmm.
and that she should stay home
Mm-hmm.
and take care of the children and the house, then you must also provide because she has needs, you know. And I think that in that case, you must give her a separate money different from the chop money, because she will have to buy things like tampons or sanitary pad. She wants to get something for herself. So if you put her in that position where you are telling her stay at home, I earn enough for you to stay at home and take care of the house, then you must provide for her needs.
The situation that we're in especially in the African setting, diasporans, is we have, our grandpa. I met my grandparents. They were lovely. They had a very good rapport. They used to chat. I
Mhm,
saw them. They were very playful with
mhm,
each other, etc., etc. So I look for that. My parents were equally playful. So I look for that in
mhm,
my
mhm,
marriage. That is what I wanted. A playful man, a man who had patience for me. I'm a little bit erratic. You know me. I'm a little
mhm.
bit all over. But so you need somebody who has patience, etc. We don't get that because the men are also on their own trajectory. They are expecting. You see the this generation, the men expect, and they are expecting so much, and the women are. It's very rare to have a man who doesn't, and you can realize that these laws, as one of our listeners is saying, is that these cultural norms were created for men by men to suit men.
Mm,
The men,
mm,
they designed the women to, but
mhm.
you see, when you go deeper into history, our history,
Yes.
African history,
Mhm.
you realize that women were goddesses. They were treated in a
Yes.
different way.
eh,
Is
That's
it
quick. That's
is
quick.
it that they are reading the Christianity, the Bible, in a wrong way, and therefore they have translated it into become this. You
I
know, we
believe
don't treat women well.
yes, I believe to a large extent there is a gross misunderstanding of what the Bible teaches about the man being the head and the woman being in submission to the man. You know, the word submission is two words: submission. Sub mean under,
Under.
mission. So the man you are marrying must have a sense of purpose, direction that the woman can, embrace and flow with you. And the scripture that is often quoted, Ephesians chapter number 5,
Mm-hmm.
there is what is expected of the man and what is expected of the woman. So
Yeah.
wives, submit to your own husband as unto the Lord. Now, when you see our walk with the Lord, we are flawed human beings with certain weaknesses, inadequacies, and whatnot. The Lord doesn't throw us out, He's patiently working on us. So the Bible tells the husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church. That's a high standard because Christ is still working on us. And that love must be embracing, where you know that you are coming from two different backgrounds with two different upbringings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There will definitely be clashes in the beginning. And I
Yes.
say two rough stones that come together will produce fire sparks at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
But as it continues to rub against each other, what it smoothens each other out and then moves in the direction. But oftentimes the first 2 years are really trying times because you are both coming from different backgrounds with different upbringings and different ways you look at things and the different ways you do things, and
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of irritation, there'll be a lot of anger, but patience, patience is needed. But in working this thing out,
Mm-hmm.
abuse should not be tolerated where you lift your hand and strike the woman, or the woman strikes the man,
Mm-hmm.
or there is mental and verbal abuse. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what this is about. You've got
Yeah.
to work out your differences,
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
because now there's no patience, it's like in those first 2 years, I packed my bags, I'm going. You I cannot tolerate this nonsense. I'm going. And because women are economically uh, in a position to take care of themselves, they can
Mm-hmm.
walk out and feel that they can take care of things. So I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding because men in their leadership role are thinking of I'm the boss,
Yeah.
but that's not what the Bible is projecting.
No.
You are a leader to provide protection and
Yeah.
protection. Bible says any man who cannot take care of his household is worse than the devil. You're supposed to be taking care of your family. But we know
Yeah.
society has changed where you need both incomes to come in. Now, if um, a man would demand that the woman give him all her money,
Mm-hmm.
will not allow her to have anything to take care of herself,
Yeah.
that's an abusive situation. No,
Totally.
that's an abusive situation. She should be able to have money that she can use on herself when she
Yeah.
needs the money, and the other way. So I always say that in a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
good thing would be that if you are both earning an income,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
uh, sorry, you sit
no.
down and consider what the budget of the household is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, And if the man is earning more than the woman or the woman is earning, you can do either 50-50 or 60-40.
Yeah. Yeah, 50-50 or 60-40, or it will basically you have to share the load. This has been a very illuminating and wonderful discussion. It seems short, but we've been on for 50 minutes. I want us to continue, and I want us to talk about domestic violence in the, withholding money from your partner, control, that sort of thing, doing things which make your partner uncomfortable. And this is a topic that we're going to broach on. We're going to talk about. I need to go now so that the show is put on the telly in its entirety and they don't cut any bits off and everything. I have enjoyed this chat. We haven't got to the end of it, but we must end it. My people, I am glad that you stayed on. A lot of you stayed on. I don't know what advice to give you in this 2023, but all I need to tell you is this: press on, keep pressing on. It does work in the end. Do not give up. Just keep pressing on. Thank you. Bye-bye. Be well. Thank you so much, Emily. You've vanished, but I'm very grateful, and I shall speak to you when I find you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Be well.